Hey everyone, what's going on? My name is Stephanie Graham. I'm an artist and filmmaker, and I'm also an extremely curious person. Some will go as far as to say that I am nosy as fuck. The nerve. I started this podcast because I wanted to interview people. I'm not just talking to anyone either. I'm talking to people who are in the thick of what they do. I want to know how they live their life and how they get things done so that I can apply some of their savvy to my own life. I'm sharing this with you so that you too can do the same. We can do it together. We all got to start somewhere, and if you're not looking for practical info, stick around anyway because my guests are fascinating and it's my goal to get to the bottom of their I mean, aren't we all just a little bit curious of what it's like to live someone else's life? And if we do it the same? There are also times when I will feel called to catch up with you one-on-one and let you know about what's going on with me, either in life or with my art practice. You didn't think I'd get the dirt on all these cool people and not let you know what's going on with me, did you? I mean, I'm a Libra. We believe in balance. Listen, I am a big believer that even though we are all different, we can still find ways to relate to each other. It's time to get down to business, so welcome to the Nosy AF Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nosy AF Podcast. I am so happy you are here. Let's see what is going on. I have a fun episode for you today with this artist, Sheri Rush. But before we get into that, I want to let y'all know something. The strike is still going on. It is still going on. 4 months. 4 months. It's getting dark out there, y'all. My union, we're losing our health insurance because of this. Like, yeah, it's just getting dark out there. You know, like now we have to pay ourselves. We used to have banked hours that are supposed to carry us in times like this. But because it's been COVID and now the strike, it's just dark. And some people are going to lose their health insurance because of it. A local business that I frequent all the time, who we would also use on movie sets, on TV sets. I would use them personally for myself. They told me that they've lost between $5,000 to $10,000 a month with all the movies being gone. And when I say movies, I mean like TV and movies. I just say movies because it's just quicker to say. The movie business is an ecosystem. You know what I mean? When one thing topples, it all topples in a way, you know, and because my union isn't necessarily on strike, we are in solidarity with the actors and writers, but we are also in a way on strike because, you know, with no actors, no writers, what are we making? So, you know, and we ain't have nothing to make. We can't go to the vendors to get the things to do what we have to do to make the sets and blah, 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 blah. So it's just getting dark. It's getting wild out here, but we're going to keep the faith. You know, it's all going to be good. And yeah. And you know what? We all have art, right? Thank God for that. I mean, film is definitely an art, but I'm so thankful for my art practice at this time. I'm so thankful for this podcast at this time to keep me busy. I've just been trying to brush up on skills, you know, like, and keep some sort of routine. It's feeling sort of like Groundhog Day around here. Like, okay, what am I going to get up and do today? But thankfully, with all the strike stuff, there's art, there's this podcast, and there's Sister Wives. I mean, really, do you all watch Sister Wives? It's all falling apart, okay? This man was married to 3 women, and now none of them want to be with him no more. No, wait, it's 4 women, and 3 of them don't want to be with him anymore. But there's one that's holding on. Like I said, it's dark out here. It is getting crazy out here, y'all. But you know what? Let's just get into today's conversation. So today, we're diving deep into the world of contemporary art with a very special guest. With her art standing at the crossroads of identity, landscape, and digital imagery, Sheri Rush has continuously wowed us with her captivating approach to process-driven painting. She is a Texas native, just like Beyonce, And now she's Chicago's pride. Sheri has been deconstructing journeys in nature since the 1980s. And she is wonderful. She is the reason why the series On the Rock has started. She brought me to Pouch Cove with her. And I am so thankful that she has agreed to talk to me about her beautiful, beautiful, bright colored pieces. Now, I've got some fantastic news for you. Sheri had a show that opened September 15th, and it's at the Epiphany Arts Center. This is all Chicago stuff. So at the Epiphany Center of the Arts in the Chase Gallery, it is a much anticipated show. It's called Situations of Liminality and Transformation. And it's not just another art exhibition, it's like a portal. It's like a bewitched journey and designed by Sheri and the incredibly talented Canadian artist Jared Betts. And together, these two, they've created an enchanted forest that promises to transport you into the realm of reflection, happiness, and healing. So that's pretty fly, right? Now listen, I don't like the nature. I like nature. I like trees and water and rocks. But I don't like bugs. Okay. And I don't like the idea of bears running after me. But if you've ever felt the deep pull of nature, the enchantment of woodlands, or simply the magic that trees whisper in the cool evening breeze, this exhibition is for you. And that's why I'm going to go, because I like cool evening breeze from trees. Okay. Until I start getting bit. But anyway, Jared Betts, also, he has this 80s color palette, he just I think of Madonna, I think of leopard pattern, all that whole fashion era. And I don't know, this show, it promises vivid tapestry of stories, emotions, and above all, transformation. So gear up as we chat with Sheri Rush about her journey, her art, and this upcoming exhibition. And I hope that if you're in Chicago, you will check it out. Actually, let me know if you want to go together. I would love to see it with a friend. And yeah, let's get into this conversation with Sheri. Thank you so much for listening to the Nosy AF Podcast. And I'm sure you'll like Sheri just as much as I do. And also, side note, Sheri, when she laughs, it reminds me of Janet Jackson. Now, I don't really know if I should have told y'all that, but she has this shy laugh like Janet. If I ever see a person tell me to do my Sheri impersonation like Janet, okay, and I'll try to do my best for you, but I don't know, just a thought I had. Okay, anyway, enjoy the show. Okay, so you guys, we have my friend Sheri Rush here. She's a fellow artist in Chicago. And how long have we known each other? Do you know? A few years.
Has to go back to when you did the center program at Hyde Park Arts Center, because I know that's the first place I saw your work.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. So it's been a long time.
Yeah, I remember laughing hysterically when I saw.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yeah. No. So okay. So for a while, but I feel like as of maybe the past 2 years or so, we've started to talk even more, become real buds.
Oh, definitely. And I remember we were both doing a critique at the CAC one time.
Oh.
You remember that?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I was sitting there really tensely, and all of a sudden you said something like, I don't know about you guys, but I could use a shot.
Oh my gosh. That's so ridiculous. I can't believe I said that. Oh my gosh. Those critiques get so... Yeah, I don't know why critiques get so intense. It's we're just sharing our opinion.
It's kind of, it's our soul though, right? I mean, it's that product that is the end of this long process that's really important to us. I mean, our work is really important to us.
Yeah, that's true. You know what's interesting? I feel I think I need to do some type of soul searching, because I feel when people say work is our soul, I feel I can separate it somehow. If people critique it in a bad way, I just think I'm not going back and redoing all that work or something like that, more so than
That's probably very healthy, I mean, I think too many people get kind of, really taken back and really just kind of stopped, and I think they take it to heart maybe sometimes. I mean, that's one thing you learn is, starting in school and everything, that you take what you can use and then you leave the rest behind,
Yeah.
and that can be hard to do.
Yeah.
It always, some hurts more than others,
That is very true. My friend Maya, we collaborated on the hashtag New Global Matriarchy project. And I remember she said to me, like, when we were about to go to review, she's like, okay, listen, does anything that these people say have anything to do with how you will be moving forward? And I was like, no. And she's like, okay, then.
Wow.
And so then we just like listened to like the critique or whatever and like took it in and had like a conversation. But she's like, these folks, and these are like just other artists in the program. She's like, what they have to say really does like, has like, like who cares? But it's like in a way, like to think it is interesting if they had something like, I guess, technical to say, but we had like this piece that like sort of critiqued the Art Institute and like a person got offended. And it's like, all right, unless you have like something to say about like the way I photograph this, like you're just making like a personal opinion. You're like making a personal. Yeah.
And listen, I mean, that's what critiques turn into sometime. I can remember being devastated in grad school because I went to the University of Chicago. So you had the faculty members all there. And then the visiting artist was one from the SAIC, and they clashed. But I was the one thrown under the bus. But it was about them clashing, and I don't think I was old enough to know that until the director like wrote me a letter saying that, sorry.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy because it's like, listen, I'm paying all this money and you all are like taking taking jabs at each other like through my art, and that's not right. Like oh my gosh, that is so wild.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like, how dare you? Like, we're paying for a service, not for you like to get upset about something that happened at like a party last month or something. What is wrong with people?
A lot of philosophical differences back then. I mean, because you're talking the 80s. So I've been in this world a while. So it was a different game back then. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've been able to, how long have you been an artist?
Since I was 9.
Oh, wow. So like for 3 years, no?
Yeah. At least.
Yeah.
10.
Wow.
But yeah, I asked my mom if I could take art lessons. So I've always, since then, I've taken art lessons in some form.
Mm-hmm.
And I pursued art even in college, even though I wasn't really doing my art in school. I was doing it. I was lucky. My parents supported me, and I took private lessons or in a class situation, with a private person. But I wasn't like a big art person in high school. I played the clarinet. I was actually more into the musician side of it, but I wasn't truly gifted as a musician and I knew that because I had friends that were very, very gifted. But I was in a high school that was very known for its band and competitions. So when I chose the school that I needed to go to in Texas for my BFA, I went there for art, but my parents wouldn't let me. So I decided to get a scholarship. And I knew the best way to do that was not through my art at that time because I didn't have a lot of accolades behind me, but I had it in music. So I actually started college on a music scholarship.
Wow. So you actually were good at music.
I wasn't the best.
Okay.
You have to be the top 10% to really pursue that, I think. I given my choice of talents, I might have chosen music, but we don't choose, we receive, right? So
yeah, it just seems like you might be a little hard on your. I mean, if it's top 10% that gets a music scholarship and you got one, like
oh no, that makes it in the world. I mean, I was all state band. I was UIL, God, I can't remember. I can't believe I remember all this, but yeah, all the competitions and nonsense. I did all that. Yeah, yeah, I did all right. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wasn't the top.
Okay. Okay. You know, it was funny. I played clarinet also, and I could not read music at all. I could not read music at all.
Really?
Yeah, I really had a hard time like with the hand coordination. Like I would be in recitals just pushing whatever. I really was. I just remember like really pushing whatever. Like I'm surprised. I don't know. I don't know if you could hear me like just off with everybody else, but yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, I was not good at it.
I can read music.
Yeah. I feel like it was too quick. It's too quick. Like you see that and like
Oh,
having
it's
to
very
know like
quick.
what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My nerves, I don't think I ever, another thing that I never would have been successful because my performance nerves were too bad at that time. Yeah. So that would have been very, very difficult. Some people like they get nervous, but that really fuels them. It fuels that adrenaline and they just go in there and they just knock it out. I crumbled. So it was tough.
Yeah, that is tough.
It got me to the school that I needed to be at to study art. And then I was able to get an art scholarship for my last year in college. So,
Oh,
yeah,
very cool.
yeah, yeah.
That's cool. So yeah, you really have been doing it all your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I came up here for grad school and did an MFA. So I got a scholarship. Yeah. So it's,
Wow, good for you.
I feel like I've been beat a lot. But
You know, it's really something. I went to the Beyonce concert and she was like, as she was thanking everyone, she's like, I've been doing this for 25 years. And it's like, wow, has it been that long? And it's just like, and just like, I think similar to you, like, that's like a really long, like, time to be committed to something, like, committed to your craft, and just like keep going and just getting better and having these like different things happen along your career and whatnot. And so I feel like that with you because you've seen, so many different things take place over your career,
yes, it's a great deal.
Yeah. So I think that that's cool. So we've been talking, but let's tell the listeners about your work. So I'm going to describe it and then you tell me if I'm right because I'm trying to work better on talking about art.
Okay. Well, some people find painting very difficult to talk about.
Oh, really?
People are used to other genres. Yeah, I mean, different mediums and everything, and more maybe. Gosh, if I say a more message oriented, I'm going to get killed by all the painters. Not that it's not, but there people find other stuff easier to talk about than painting. I've been told that.
Okay.
So go.
Well, let's see how I do. Okay. So
Yeah.
Sheri Rush is a large abstract painter. And I mean like big paintings, not just like your typical like 11 by 14, 16 by 20. Though if you're lucky, you can find those sizes if you are lucky, but that is not her base. And these paintings are bright colors like neons, blues, reds, nothing really dark. And this is her current body of work because she has went to those palettes before, like where they were like darker, rich palettes, but now they are rich and bright. And they are forests, magical forests that you get to explore. They're sort of, I don't know what the word would be for like the animation version of cinematic, not animation like cartoony, but just like they're animated. They are like bright, colorful forest experiences that's mixed with like spray paint, acrylic paint. And I think that's it.
That's good.
Okay.
I think you really, really, really got it. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool.
I should take you. Yeah, I should. Yeah, let you. Yeah, I should write that down.
I really feel like you could walk through your paintings. They're so bright. And I also think of them as like, are you familiar with TPing?
Yes.
So, like in high school, we would always like TP each other's houses, me and my friends. And some of them, like with like the drips, they like look like if we had like hot pink toilet
Oh,
paper or like
yes.
blue
Yes.
toilet paper. Like if we would have like dyed the paper and like went and done somebody's like backyard who like they're like in Barrington or something, like where they have like more like a foresty backyard. I feel
Right.
like that would have been really fun.
Oh,
So not
wow.
TP in like a juvenile way, but like in a visual way.
Right. No, I saw it in my head when you said that. I was like, oh yeah, that might work.
Yeah, I know, right? We should try it. Like, I wonder how it would go with toilet paper, crepe paper. It could be fun, but they do definitely feel like immersive for sure. Your work.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's really what this show is going to be about. This next show is
Mhm.
all about that. So
Yeah.
I have gone heavy on the size this year, just because I knew I had this show. I haven't had a large scale show in a long time, and a long time, 2020, 2020, I think it was. And I don't know, they've chosen to show the small pandemic works recently and the last 2 years. So I've been really excited by this one because this is my love. I was always a large scale painter. I was very influenced by the abstract expressionists, and this is what I love doing. I think I also do it better than I paint small paintings. So, I've been working on trying to fix that, but yeah, this comes better for me. Large scale works work better for me. Yeah.
Do you have large scale works hanging in your home?
I have, yes, actually.
Okay.
Yes, I do have. I only allow one of mine in the house, and it
Okay.
happens to be a 10-foot painting. That's a favorite of my partner. But I have collected a few throughout my life. So I have a 7 by 7 foot painting.
Oh,
Wesley,
wow.
yeah, and a Thrush Holmes. He's a Canadian artist. It's probably about 5 by 6, 4 by 6, maybe. Yeah, 5 by 6. But
Wow.
yeah, so I'm drawn to it, definitely. Even other people's, yeah.
Yeah, I always will see like your work and other big works, and I always think like, where could I hang this at my house? But
Oh yeah,
it wasn't until though, actually, and we could talk about this later, but like in Pouch Cove at James's house, when I was like, oh, look at these big pieces and like his living space, I feel like it's
yes,
comparable to mine. So I'm like, oh, I guess you just put it on the wall, and if there's like a chair in front of it, as long as it's not like
yes,
mashed up against it, you can move
right.
it so people can see, or like you move out, like you just sort of arrange around it. And then it made me think like, oh yeah, maybe this wall actually could, take a big piece
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
No, yeah, you live in close proximity to it. I think it's a different point of view. I noticed that, and in fact, I noticed that since I have done the Pouch Cove residency twice now, I paint a little bit differently there than I do in my studio, because my studio I can't get as far back. And I've noticed that there's a real difference because I spend a lot of time when I'm in Pouch Cove looking, since we live in the spaces, and they're big. I spend a lot of time looking at them from far away. And I think I paint I'm sure it's not very differently to everyone, but inside my head, it's very different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I like big work. I think it makes sense. My own work, I prefer to like the prints that I have, they're like 16 by 20. And I think it makes it's better. And I'm like, that's not even that big. And that's why, I said in the beginning describing your work, like, I'm like, no, it's not like 16 by 20. People are like, oh my God, that's so big. It's like, no, no, no. That is like a 4 by 6 compared to your size works. But I think yeah, big art, if it calls for it, I think it really helps. And it's like, it's just, I feel like when you have the smaller work, it's like, oh, This is for, for everybody else. Like, those starting out in your collection or something.
Right. Well, I find that a lot of people are uncomfortable living that close to having that big of an image. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't seem to rest in the background as easily. There seems to be more kind of noise. And I remember one of my first experiences, a potential sell of one of those large pieces. In graduate school, we had our master thesis show, but then we had a group thesis show together at the Smart Museum. And this woman, I think she had a condo. I think she was down in Hyde Park, a really nice ritzy condo. And she called me. She wanted one of the, I wasn't quite as bright as I am now. Fluorescents weren't a thing. And but there were some reds and some strong colors in it. And it was big. I used to paint 10 feet paintings back. So she wanted to try it, and I took it down and I put it up on the wall, and it was in her dining room, and she had this new white marble table, and she felt like the painting dwarfed the white marble table. So, and she decided not to buy it.
Oh man.
That over the sofa view, I think people are very used to. And if you like large work, I think you commit a little bit more to living closer with it.
Yeah. 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 Cause I guess you would like, as you eat, you like turn and, like becomes your whole world. But I love that though,
I know, right? Me
Yeah.
too. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I think it would definitely have brought like a different dining experience, especially if you like to entertain a lot. Because everybody always just like eats at, a table with like just a
Exactly.
wall, So it's like, come on. Yeah.
It was a learning experience. I'm like, okay, lesson learned.
Yeah. So we recently went to the Pouch Cove residency, and one of the things I wondered if you could talk about is actually how you would say your paintings are. This is me trying to talk again about art. You journal, and then you're like, do you consider your paintings like poems, or are they like a responses to writings you do? Like, can you share like a little bit about your process?
Yeah. I did this when I was young. I'm from Texas, and my family had a farm in central Texas. It was my grandparents, actually. And we were down there a lot, and I would just go out walking the acreage. And it actually started in grad school. It's not a journal as much as it's a photography journal, I guess you would say. I document. It's like, almost OCD. It's a really heightened documentation. Not think of it in terms of documenting. I'm always looking for something. And I would always photograph down at the farm twice a year. And because when I was living in Chicago, I'd be down there twice a year. And it was interesting to me, look, like after years had gone by, looking back and seeing, God, what was my focus that year? Because I could always tell the focus, whether it was shadows or light or forms, the interaction of forms. It was always dramatic, though. I have to say that. I always feel like I've set up little dramas all the time. So, and I worked from photos from the farm, and it never struck me until later that it was really about my processing the world and processing my life, and about identity and my family identity and identity to that land. I worked from those for like 25 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I had left the art world, I don't know, sometime in the 90s. I kept painting, but my painting became quite stagnant. And that's why I ended up in the center program to transition my work. One of the visiting artists, the first critique I had, he said, "Get rid of your photos." So I shredded them. Then I made works with shredded photographs and charcoal and acrylic and spray. That's when I first started using spray. So they were all black and whites, because my photo journals from that time were shot in film, and they were all black and white because I would do the printing part myself in a wet dark room.
Wow.
So I know that was well into the 2000s. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that you were photographing. You would photograph these things, print them, and then print them in the darkroom and then paint from them.
Yes.
That's too much.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I was lucky because where I lived, it had this extra room with a sink in it, like a slop sink or something. And it was my cats had it as their little room, but then I would suddenly do like 2 weeks of power printing. I would set
Yeah.
my dark room up. I had these special curtains and everything, and so, but then, yeah, computers kind of did away with that, because it became too easy. Because, as you said, it was a lot. I
Yeah.
was spending a lot of time, a lot of labor intensive, time preparing my source materials. But, I have to say, looking back, that whole process, those source materials is part of my process. I
Yeah.
think I'm just kind of accepting that now. Before I'd say, oh, well, I do paint from photographs. But it was just, this year when I was writing a statement that, I was with a group of artists and they asked me to describe my process. And they pointed out to me that this whole documentation and then archiving these things, this constant, going through them and finding what's this and what's that, and that's a really huge part of my process. So I'm just now kind of grappling with that.
Hey, I just want to pop in here real quick to let you know that I'm an artist. I make work about social class, subcultures, race, and gender. These topics are complex, they're interesting, and they come up in my life all the time. Because I love to laugh, a lot of my work has humorous tones. I genuinely enjoy making and creating all sorts of things. My main medium is photography and film, but I also enjoy organizing art events. I would love to keep you in the loop of everything that's going on with my art exhibition, so please consider signing up for the Studiogram newsletter at missgram.com/sign up. Okay, back to the top. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of steps, but I'm also sort of like, what? I can't believe that guy said to shred them. Get rid of them.
Shred them. He said get rid of them.
Yeah.
Because I was stuck and I needed to move on. So I moved on by working through imagery that I needed to work through and shredding those photos. Now I kept my negatives. But.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's because I was like, all that work. Oh my God.
Right. No, I know one of my best buddies. I've known him since grad school. He would, like, when I said it, he looked at me and then he's just like, "Oh, you have the negatives." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh. That's what I was thinking. Like, oh my gosh. Because I didn't know if, yeah, if it's like
and
Polaroids or
they've
something.
been scanned. Yeah, they've been scanned now, which was, yeah. So,
Oh, wow. You're so meticulous.
well, I started printing. It was back then. It was like 2012 or 2013. I learned that you could print with computers.
Yes. No, that's good. It's good that you have everything scanned. I'm like looking, I have some like boxes of negatives, so I'm like, oh, I should maybe scan some of that stuff and see
You
what's
should
in
scan.
there. Yeah, and I probably do. Like, I also have like DVDs that I probably should look and see. Like, this computer I'm recording our conversation on has a DVD player. I should see if it works and then just take a look and see what's in there and see what comes of it.
It's an extraordinary process. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I had to move in 2019. I moved from the place that was my home and my studio for 27 years.
Oh, wow.
And I moved, but then it took me, I don't know, a good year to start getting all my art out of there. And my art, it went all the way back to graduate school.
Mm.
And that's when I learned, because I couldn't remember, that I used to paint 10-foot paintings back then. So I've always been that painter. Yeah, that was a real process, cleaning out all that stuff. I let 3/4 of it go,
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, archiving, right? That's like a whole other
That
piece.
took months. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you should definitely always look back. It's always informative.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, it was good. So you and I, we went, how did you, so you and I, we really got to know each other and spend time together at Pouch Cove when you invited me. Thank you again to come with you to Canada. And, it came at a really good time because I wanted to, as I was telling you, like do more residencies. And then here comes this residency, and it's like, oh yeah, about an artist career, have residencies.
Definitely.
Yeah. How did you get to do residencies with Pouch Cove and yeah, Pouch Cove? And then like, if you talk about like residencies, like in your work, if it's even like a thing in your process.
It wasn't because back, when I was starting out, it wasn't a thing. Residencies were a thing. I mean, Ragsdale has always been there. Yaddo has always been there, but it's not like, now artists can go from residency to residency and they do that a lot, but it wasn't really a thing. But it's when I came back into the art world in 2014 that people were all talking about residencies. So, once I started getting myself together and get my work together, God, what year was it? It must have been. I think I started applying. I applied for a few. I finally decided to do it, and I applied for a few here in the States. And during that time I was applying, I received an email, and it was from the Pouch Cove Foundation offering me a residence in Cove. And it was James Baird. He's the CEO founder. He said, would you be interested in something like that? And I said, oh yeah, sure. Let me send me the app. Let me take a look. And he's like, no, there's no application. It's just invitation. And I said, oh yeah. But, in my mind, I had just applied to, I don't know, I think 2 residencies or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted this one I really wanted. And I had no idea, though, since it was my first time, that these things are competitive here in the States, like just hugely competitive.
Yeah.
There's not that many spots for all those artists. And of course, so time went, I kind of blew them off, and time went on, and I got turned down for the residencies. And then, I was lamenting to Deirdre, in the studio, and Deirdre Fox is my studio mate, and, complaining. And I think I was thinking about jumping on a train or something and going out west and doing some photographs. I don't know. I was, of all kinds of schemes. And then all of a sudden, James wrote me again, because
Oh, wow.
I hadn't really thought about it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this, and I looked it up, and, you're kind of hesitant. I mean, because you're just opening your email. But anyway, long story short, I went, and it was amazing. And I finally one day asked him, how did he find my work? And there's a platform called Found Artwork.
Okay.
I remember seeing it on Instagram when it started. It originally started for artists, and this was odd. This is kind of a throwback to the old days. It started for artists with MFAs.
Oh, interesting.
Nothing's ever come of it for me, except James found me there.
Mm-hmm.
Then now it's segued into, all artists, and it gives out a big grant once a year to an artist on the platform. But yeah, he found me on that. He used to really, but what's funny is the facility wasn't done.
Okay.
He was just finishing the units that are in the main building,
Mm-hmm.
He was just finishing them up. And like when Elaine was there, she was there alone, I think.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, she was.
I was there. It was me and another artist from the US, and then one from Ireland, and his daughter from Spain. So there were 4 of us.
Wow.
But yeah, all the units weren't done yet, and the lofts weren't even. That was a dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was very, very different, but it was very isolating. That was right before the pandemic, so I didn't know, how to live without my coffee shop.
Yeah, that is hard. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard me complain, but the coffee shops around here keep hours that are like seriously rude. They're like 10 to 3. It's like, are you kidding?
10 to 3.
Yes. There's maybe one that is like super early because it's by a metro, but
Yes.
it's like this like
Yes.
7 to 12. Like and l- so if I'm out of coffee, I have to resort to either Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, which I'm like
Yes.
not that happy about. I rather if I'm going to spend the money go to a coffee shop, but then it's like it's not close enough. It's like, yeah, I guess if I want to drive, but like that's not the
Yeah.
point. Like the point is to have something local and accessible. And yeah, I know we were in Pouch Cove. I kept trying to figure out how to have a coffee shop there, but
Well, I think as more artists move there, I think that your plan might work.
yeah, I'll have to see. It's pretty up there. Do you like working isolated like that?
Yes. I do. I get a lot done. My best painting was done there. Yeah, for sure. It's a real gift to be able to paint every day. But I have to say, this time was so much better. My mind was much healthier. I was in a much healthier place because of all of you guys were there. So I was in a happier place, and I didn't get like crazy. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, it is nice to it was nice to know that while I was working, I knew that y'all were working too. And there's not like friends that might be like frustrated because they're going to see like a movie that you don't really want to see, but you might push yourself to go to be social or it's like, okay, yeah, I do need to see my friend. I haven't seen him in a while, but it's just like, you know what? Yeah, Sheri's over there, but she's also working. And yeah, maybe I could stop by, but have I done what I'm doing? Like, we are here to work. And then we had different times that we created
Yeah.
organically for like socializing. And I thought that that was really nice. It made me want to be able to offer that to other artists somehow.
Wow.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, what a treat this is.
I know, right? Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It
Yeah.
does make you think of that way differently. It's just such a thing to be able to get up every day and paint is just, and all you have to decide is if you're going to the grocery store or not, or
Yeah. Yeah, and then I realized I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I way overpacked," because I was just like, "Oh, just throw these jeans." Like I rotate out like 2 jeans in the washing machine and like
yeah.
yeah, it's like yeah, it was a really good opportunity.
I'm glad you really enjoyed it. I'm glad yeah, it was
Yeah, it
great.
was it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. And now you have but you're always working though, which is really cool. Do you like 2 questions? I want to obviously talk about your show you have coming up, but like do you have any hobbies or chill time? Cuz I feel like you always have stuff going on.
Yeah, I do. No, I've worked.
Tell the truth now. Tell the truth.
The closest thing I get to a hobby are my dogs, I guess.
Yeah.
But honestly, I've always had to work a day job. I've never been able to support myself on my work. And there were times that my day job was all encompassing. And it was a fight to get into the studio. So I felt like I that's what I did all my life. And if I had any spare time, it was in the studio. So now my job is a little less demanding, and I cut out a huge chunk of it because I used to do a lot of rehab work, and I don't do that anymore. Yeah, relaxation, that's hard for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to like make hobbies more
I think
like
it's smart
you think it's
to
smart?
have a hobby. And
Yeah.
I've been trained. I've been since I have young dogs again. I spend a lot of time with my dogs, but
Mhm.
I started training them. And that's the only other. Well, also I started taking ceramics because I wanted to make it this object.
Uh-huh.
And so I got it. I just kind of jumped into ceramics. I don't know why I think of that as a hobby, but I mean, I think that it could be an important part of my practice someday. But yeah, I guess yeah, I'm making art usually, trying to, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's hard because even like with my girls when I was doing it when I first started to learn, I was like, oh, I can totally make this a business. But I was like, you know what? Why even rush? Like people were having events like, hey, are your grills ready yet? Are you good enough yet to like come and sell these and take clients? And I'm just like, it was giving me anxiety. So I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
No, I'm just gonna, you know, how some people might knit, I'll just play with my girls stuff, you know, and just like go from there and play with that. And if like over time, if it starts to become something where like I want to make it a business, then so be it. But outside of that, I'm not like putting a rush on it or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of pressure.
Hmm.
I've always felt grateful to have, a roof over my head and a job because it never pressured me to paint any particular way or size.
Yeah.
If I wanted to paint large, I could paint large because let's face it, they don't sell.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But you do have a show coming up.
I do have a show
So,
coming.
so something must be. Listen, we have a show coming up where we will get to see your work and maybe, hopefully, some of these beautiful pieces will move. So tell us about it.
You never know. Well, the Chase Gallery, there's an art center, Epiphany Center for the Arts, and it's a fairly new art space in Chicago. But it opened in 2020, which was, the pandemic. So it's an incredible space. It has like 6 to 8 galleries, and it has all this music. There's constant musical, it's a musical venue and a fine arts, visual art venue. And I think it's incredible. I think it's incredible to bring your work will have an audience that's not always you don't get that crossover audience all the time, because people come to see the music, people come to have a drink. I mean, it's a very unique space in that it's a renovated church.
Oh,
It's on South Ashland, and it has an interesting history because the Black Panthers used to meet at that church. It's just if someone was going to save a church and make it into a really cool venue, this is it. And I like the whole like different things going on there. But this gallery is their largest gallery. It's about 2,500 square feet, and from the moment I saw it, I envisioned a large scale show there. And Aaron Baker was the director at that time. And, I was thinking my work was dealing with landscape imagery, but from a lot of different views. Then the pandemic kind of changed everything because I used to kind of dwell on how people do not. The layers of everything between them and nature because they're sitting there looking through their camera, often through a window. And so it was about kind of that kind of thing, the layers that we put, we're looking through computers, we're looking through everything. And then the pandemic happened and we could only experience things looking through windows and the computer. So it was hitting kind of too close,
yeah.
I switched to a different view in different ways. Anyway, I decided that this show should be a large scale show and that I had all this source material from my first residency in Pouch Cove.
Okay.
It was from a hiking point of view. I had 2,500 photos, and I was looking at it, getting really excited, and thinking, oh my God, look at that, look at that. So I thought, God, what if I really went for it? Because I try to crush my landscape representational needs a lot, just because I think, well, we've already done that. But I thought, well, just let it go. So I decided it would be fun to create a large scale immersive show around an enchanted forest kind of theme. And I had met this Canadian artist because he did the residency at Pouch Cove.
Okay.
And that's where he first saw my work. And he used my drop clause that I left. And he reached out to me and we've been keeping in touch. And he's an abstract painter with a very fluorescent palette who also has a great love of the abstract expressionists. And he's younger than me. So he has a lot of other anime and
Oh, wow.
Madonna leopard patterns, all that kind of stuff feeds into his work. But we have a lot of the same mark making and abstracting language. And he kind of brings the enchantment up 10 notches.
That's really cool. This sounds awesome.
His name is Jared Betts. Here's two of our works together.
Ooh, pretty.
Right?
Wow. Yeah.
It'll be good.
Yeah, that is going to be good. When does it open?
September 15th.
Okay.
At 6 to 9. So yeah, and it'll be open until November 4th. So there's a lot of time to go see, and you can go see some music and have some drinks.
Yeah.
It's a cool venue.
Yeah, I've been there before to see they have like a candlelight series with like a cover band. I think they were doing Sam Cooke.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, me and my father went one time. So yeah, that was cool.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Yeah, they always have stuff going on. So yeah, I'm excited about this because you're right. It's always bustling over there. So
It is. And I think it's going to be a very popular venue, for everything eventually. So yeah.
that's great. We need more spaces.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool.
Mhm.
Well, hey, wait, what's the name of the show? Did you say?
Situations of liminality and transformation. And someone asked me, they were like, all right, what's with the title?
Yeah, your titles are always off the chain. Your titles are always off the chain.
Well, I'm really interested in traditional symbolism, different types of symbolism, and there was a time in my painting career that I was very into alchemy and the colors of ascension, and then the colors of descension. I would only use those colors, but anyway. So I was looking at the traditional symbolism of the enchanted forest, and it struck me because basically the definition was containing situations of liminality and transformation, because the enchanted forest, or even the forest, is a threshold symbol, and it's symbolic, passing from one state to another. I mean, there's a ton of symbolism surrounding forests and enchanted forests, and it can be good or bad, actually. But I just love that because I've always really enjoyed the word liminality. I'm a big believer in transformation. So
yeah, I mean, you've gone through different transformations of your career through the time. So I get that.
Definitely. Yeah. Big believer in that. So so it's literally a definition in like a traditional symbolism.
Okay.
Of a big definition. But yeah, I was kind of stunned. Someone asked me about the title. I was like, oh, never noticed.
Yeah, no, they always sound so like pretty and long with big juicy words, which I love.
I think I've named a couple of paintings something liminality. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
Strikes my fancy.
Yeah, no, I get it. When you get something you're into, like, you go with it,
Yeah.
Well, Sheri, I'm so glad that we talked. Is there anything else that you want to bring up before we call our conversation complete?
I just thank you for having me, and thank you for talking. It was a lot of fun, actually. I'm kind of shy, so it was good. You're very easy to talk to.
Oh, that's so nice.
You have a podcast.
Thank you. Well, people are like usually like, oh, I don't really do those, or I'm really shy. But then when they come and talk, I'm always like, oh my God, what an honor. So I'm really thankful.
Well, thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Nosy AF podcast with me, your host, your friend, Stephanie Graham. I'm so glad that you made it to the end of this conversation. Please kindly let me know what you thought by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you're listening right now. You can also connect with me at nosyaf.com via the Say Hello button. And if you're curious about what's going on in my art and film life, please visit my website at missgraham.com. Oh, and also, if there is someone that you're nosy about and you want me to have them on the show, please send suggestions via the same hello button and I will check them out. Until next time, thank you so much for being you, and see you soon. Peace.